Today, we're diving deep into the dark and twisted world of psychopathy. But don't worry, we're not here to diagnose you or your annoying neighbor. We're just here to explore some interesting scenarios and see how a psychopath or sociopath might respond. Remember, if you're worried you might be a psychopath, you're probably not one. Real psychopaths don't lose sleep over that kind of thing. Picture this. Your best friend just went through a nasty breakup. They're sobbing uncontrollably on your couch, mascara running down their face, snot bubbling from their nose. It's not a pretty sight. A typical person might feel empathy, offer a shoulder to cry on, and maybe even shed a tear or two in solidarity. They'd probably say something like, "I'm so sorry you're going through this. It must be really tough." But a psychopath? Oh boy, they're in a whole different ballpark. They might be thinking, "Ugh, how long is this going to last? I've got better things to do." Or even, "This is actually kind of entertaining." Out loud, they might say, "That sucks. Want to go get a drink?" They're not trying to be mean. They just genuinely don't feel your pain. Psychopaths lack empathy, that magical ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes. They can intellectually understand that you're sad, but they don't feel it. It's like watching a sad movie with the sound off. They see the tears, but they don't hear the heart-wrenching music that usually makes us normal folks reach for the tissues. One day, you're walking down the street when you spot a tiny, shivering puppy huddled in a cardboard box. Its big, soulful eyes look up at you, practically begging for help. Most people would feel an immediate urge to scoop up the little furball and take it home. They'd be thinking, "Oh no, poor thing, I need to help." A psychopath, on the other hand, might see an opportunity. They might think, I bet I could sell this puppy online for a decent price. Or if they're feeling particularly dark, I wonder what would happen if I kick that box. Now, before you start thinking all psychopaths are puppy-kicking monsters, hold your horses. Many wouldn't actually harm the puppy, not out of compassion, but because they know it's socially unacceptable and could get them in trouble. They might even take the puppy home if they think it'll make them look good to others. This scenario highlights another key trait of psychopaths: their tendency to see living beings as objects to be used or manipulated. They don't form the same emotional attachments that most of us do. Now, imagine you've royally screwed up at work. You accidentally deleted an important file that your whole team needed for a big presentation. Oops. A typical person would probably feel guilty, anxious, and maybe even a bit sweaty. They'd likely come clean to their boss, apologize profusely, and try to fix the mistake. A psychopath? They'd see this as a challenge, an opportunity to flex their lying muscles. They might concoct an elaborate story about how the file was actually stolen by a rival company, or claim that IT told them to delete it. They'd deliver this lie with unwavering confidence, looking their boss straight in the eye without a hint of remorse. Psychopaths are often described as glib and superficial. They can lie with ease and charm without the pesky physical signs of nervousness that usually give the rest of us away. It's not that they don't know lying is wrong. They just don't care. You and your friends are on a camping trip, and someone suggests climbing to the top of a nearby cliff for a better view. There's no safety equipment, and it looks pretty dangerous. Most people would weigh the risks and rewards. They might feel a mix of excitement and fear, ultimately deciding based on their comfort level and the potential consequences. A psychopath, however, might be the first one scaling that cliff. Not because they're brave, but because they have a higher threshold for fear and a tendency towards impulsivity. They might think, "This could be fun. If I fall, oh well." This scenario showcases the psychopathic traits of fearlessness and poor impulse control. Psychopaths often engage in risky behaviors without fully considering the consequences. It's not that they have a death wish, they just don't experience fear and anxiety the same way most people do. You're up for a big promotion at work, but so is your colleague, Sarah. You both want it badly. A non-psychopath might feel stressed about the competition, but would likely try to win fairly by working hard and showcasing their skills. A psychopath, though? They might see Sarah as nothing more than an obstacle to be removed. They could start spreading rumors about her, sabotaging her work, or even try to seduce her partner to create chaos in her personal life. All's fair in love, war, and corporate ladder climbing, right? This scenario highlights the psychopathic traits of manipulation and a lack of moral constraints. Psychopaths often view life as a game to be won by any means necessary. They don't feel guilty about hurting others to get what they want. Your office is running a charity drive for a local children's hospital. Everyone's expected to contribute or volunteer. Most people would feel good about helping out, maybe even excited to make a difference. They might donate money, volunteer their time, or both. A psychopath might see this as an annoying obligation or an opportunity for personal gain. They could think, how can I use this to make myself look good without actually doing anything? They might make a show of donating a large amount, but only when others are watching, or volunteer for a highly visible role that requires minimal effort. This scenario demonstrates the psychopathic traits of superficial charm and egocentricity. Psychopaths often engage in pro-social behaviors not out of genuine care for others, but because it benefits their image or agenda. You've been in a relationship for a year, but you've realized it's not working out. It's time to break up. A typical person would probably feel sad, conflicted, and worried about hurting their partner's feelings. They'd try to break the news gently, and might even feel guilty for a while afterward. A psychopath? They might end things abruptly and without emotion, perhaps even ghosting their partner completely. If confronted, they might say something like, "Yeah, I'm done with you. It was fun while it lasted." They could even start dating someone new immediately, showing no regard for their ex's feelings. This scenario showcases the psychopathic traits of shallow emotions and lack of remorse. Psychopaths don't form deep emotional bonds in relationships and can disconnect from people easily without feeling loss or guilt. Now, before you start side-eyeing everyone in your life, remember, true psychopathy is rare. Experts estimate that about 1% of the general population might be psychopaths, with slightly higher rates in certain professions. I'm looking at you, Wall Street. Also, it's crucial to understand that psychopathy exists on a spectrum. Someone can have psychopathic traits without being a full-blown psychopath. And having some of these traits doesn't automatically make someone a bad person. In fact, some psychopathic traits like fearlessness and charm can be advantageous in certain situations. So, what causes psychopathy? The jury's still out on that one. Most experts agree it's a combination of genetic factors and environmental influences. Some studies have found differences in the brain structure of psychopaths, particularly in areas related to emotion and impulse control. But here's the million-dollar question. Can psychopaths change? Can they learn empathy? Well, it's complicated. Traditional therapy often doesn't work well for psychopaths because it relies on emotional connections and feelings of guilt or shame, things that psychopaths don't really experience. However, some newer approaches focus on teaching psychopaths to behave pro-socially by appealing to their self-interest. The idea is that if they understand that treating others well can benefit them in the long run, they might be more inclined to do it. It's not quite the same as developing genuine empathy, but hey, baby steps, right? In conclusion, psychopathy is a complex and often misunderstood condition. While the scenarios we've discussed might seem extreme or even comical, they highlight real traits that psychopaths exhibit. It's important to remember that psychopathy is a clinical condition, not just a label for someone who's mean or inconsiderate. If you're genuinely concerned that you or someone you know might be a psychopath, it's best to consult with a mental health professional. They can provide a proper assessment and guidance. This video is just for entertainment purpose. Thanks for tuning in to this deep dive into the psychopathic mind. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Unless you're a psychopath, in which case, do whatever you want. I guess you were going to anyway. Stay curious, stay empathetic, and we'll see you in the next video.